Today's question is, when I'm struggling with low libido, only interest in watching porn and having sex only once a week at most. Low interest, I should say. Low interest in porn. Is vitamin D, zinc, maca still recommended? Sleep is the same when my libido is higher, way higher. 2 to 3 times a day fapping was no problem. 2 to 3 times sex a week with girlfriend was no problem. Is it the weight gain? What would you do? This is a question in my coaching at Durianrider.com. So let's do a deep dive on libido, testosterone, DHT, etc. What are my qualifications? I'm 45 and I've been a coach for many thousands of guys over the last 20 something years of deep dive into these topics: testosterone, being natty, being not natty, etc. What drives libido, personal passion. Not just like university, I studied a degree, but it's not really my passion, so I don't really keep up to date what's going on. So this is personal interest for me. Sexual performance, I mean, what guy doesn't want to enhance or have consistent sexual performance? I don't know many. So let's talk about libido. The question is, yes, you can take the vitamin D and the zinc and the maca and those things will help, but, is there something psychological we're not addressing here, right? Do you live with your girlfriend, or have you just moved in together? Does she have a baby? And when you have a baby, your testosterone goes down. All right, it's nature's way of saying, hey, you've had one kid, just sort of tame it down a bit. You would just stick around and help this kid get raised versus go off and fight and fuck with others. So when you have kids, testosterone goes down. Okay, a lot of guys don't understand that. They're like, and then they start looking for chicks on the side because like, I don't feel masculine. Like my wife or my girl, she's giving all this attention to the kid, which is what happens. Now I feel like I can feel like an ATM, money donor, sperm donor, second-rate citizen. I don't feel like a man anymore. And this chick at work's giving me the eye, and I don't even know why I meant. That was dumb. That's what happens all the time. Guys understand what happens. Girls understand what happens. They can end relationships and marriages and be a shit show. So understands. Let's run some blood tests. Let's run some blood tests, all right? Let's test your free testosterone. Let's test your DHT. Let's test your estrogen. Because if your test is low, or your DHT is low, or your estrogen is low, estrogen is very important for libido, sexual function, penile performance, sexual thoughts, etc. Estrogen is very, very important. It's better to have low testosterone than low estrogen in terms of libido, sexual function, all right? Now, a lot of guys are like, that's not true. Joe Rogan didn't say that. Joe Rogan doesn't know shit. All right? Dude's so inflamed. His fitness is crap. I mean, he knows how to do a spinning back kick. He knows that. Okay, so he doesn't know shit. When it comes to health and performance, he doesn't know much. All right, he just parrots the freaking this NPC social narratives. Here's some of his guests are right though. But if you want to learn how to do a spinning back kick, listen to Joe Rogan. Not me. He's much better at that. But if you want to have better performance in life, listen to me, forget Joe. So anyway, let's do some blood tests. Let's do some blood tests. What's your estrogen like? Do a blood test this week. Free testosterone and your estrogen and DHT. Are you taking, for your hair growth, some people are taking DHT blockers like finasteride, which is a 5-alpha reductase, inhibition of that. DHT, which is very important for libido. DHT, man, I would not want to be suppressing DHT long term. Like DHT is a performance enhancing drug. DHT is banned by WADA for a reason. Right? You don't want to suppress DHT. Yes, some people have a fantastic hair restoration from suppressing DHT, and they report no side effects. Some people report them heavily, and they say, since taking finasteride, I feel shit, all right? So I'm going to say, in my experience, I feel best when my DHT is higher, all right? I love the sharpness, I love the drive, I love the feeling, okay? And, and does your hair take a dive when DHT's up? Depends on your genetics, So it depends on many things, but I'd rather have epic DHT levels than epic hair. And I've had both, all right? I prefer the DHT feeling than Hollywood hair, okay? But hey, up to you. But anyway, that could be a possibility. Maybe your DHT suppressed because you're on finasteride, because you watched a video on YouTube where it said take finasteride, there's no side effects, and grow your hair crazy. Maybe. I don't know. We're going to cover all the areas here. So DHT blockers, no thanks. It could be stress at work. You could be starting to just maybe question things a bit in your life and society, and you start to second guess things. You're thinking, like, I don't really have the same attraction for that person like I used to. Maybe you've said some things to your girlfriend. She said some wrong answers. You're like, you've just killed it for me. I've been in situations with chicks and I'm like, wow, she's hot, she's sexy, she can do this, she can do that. And then she said something or done something like, oh man. And vice versa. Us guys will do something or say something. She's like, oh my God. I feel like there's a Sahara desert now before I was a tropical monsoon on the African tablelands. So what we say and do and what others say and do can affect our libido. You say you're going to bed. You're saying to go to bed. Sleep is the same. Maybe you need more sleep. Right? Maybe you need to go to bed earlier. Okay. So there's a lot of factors. It could be your hormones. It could be now you're coming into, I think you're in Europe, so the winter's coming in, so the sunshine's coming down. It's a huge difference. Vitamin D, when the sun comes out, boom, the dresses come up. Like it's just, things happen in the sunshine. We're tropical creatures. So vitamin D, maca, those things, they're generally treating symptoms versus the cause. If you've got low vitamin D, my question is why stay living in a place where it's vitamin D deficient in the cold climates? That's my opinion. I would say go south, go to Spain, fuck your brains out. Go down to Morocco or, Ibiza. Just go somewhere it's sunny, Mexico or Thailand or whatever. So there's those things. The relationship is how long have you been with the girl for? Is it you've been for the first 4 months and it was just like, and then that's starting to fade a bit. That can happen. That happens. It's normal. That's why you always got to keep things fresh and keep the intensity high. By communication, sexual communication, etc. So maybe that's a factor as well that can be changing libido. All right. Maybe you're not eating enough. All right. Maybe you're like, it's freaking hard to get enough calories every day. Maybe you're not eating enough, and that's causing cortisol to go up. Maybe there's some rebound there where your estrogen's up for a bit. Your testosterone's maybe a little bit down, just for some like restoring. Or maybe your body's like, hey, look, we're not in a real reproductive state right now. We're in more of a rebuilding phase, so we're not really going to drive much libido going on there. So there's many, many factors. Like if you're recovering from famine or starvation, some people's libido goes fucking insane. It goes insane. And some people's libido, it comes down, okay? So libido is very, very genetic. It's very psychological. It's very, how's your lifestyle going? It's very, how's your relationship going? Yeah, connection with them. It's very hormonal based. There's very like personal how you see your body. Maybe you don't see yourself as attractive as you did before, and then you're like, that's huge, man. That's huge. It's like maybe you want to pretend you're Johnny Sins a bit, and Johnny Sins has found your girlfriend, and you're gonna give her a good time. Play with imagination stuff, and you go, oh wow, actually the biggest sexual organ is the brain, and that can really determine things. Damn. So it's just. And that's why there's such a big industry in this sexual game, because there's so many variables, there's so many possibilities what could be causing what. And why do I speak so simply? Why don't I use sexy jargon words like that fake natty snake oil seller, tied eyes, Andrew Huberman, etc. The reason why I keep it simple is because a lot of my audience, they just want a simple solution, okay? They don't want to hear jargon. They want to be bamboozled with jargon. They want to go, okay, this makes sense. I can try that, okay? So I would say the supplements, even cans of chickpeas, man. Open up a can of chickpeas and eat that, just as is, even with ketchup. That can be a nitric oxide boost. I found, I've experimented with all the options out there. I'll play with the Viagras and the Cialis and the citrulline and the maca and the beetroot powder and the cacao wowie. Durian, jackfruit as a libido enhancer. Damn. One time me and Natasha and my friend Clint's farm a couple of years ago, and she was ovulating that day. We had this jackfruit, we shared it, and man, it was just, damn. It was like 3 rounds in her in like an hour. She came twice, I went 3 rounds. It was insane, just in the jackfruit, all right? So, and the sunshine and stuff, but the jackfruit was like the sun in the jackfruit just, vasectomy of life. But that and OnlyFans. So there's a lot of factors out there. But yeah, it's very psychological, it's very hormone, it's like cortisol, testosterone, DHT, estrogen, things like that. There's a lot of things to play at. So we want to look at things day by day, hour by hour, thought by thought, okay? Hopefully we do a bit of a deep dive there on what could be a factor. You know, there's no one in the world who could pinpoint on one thing right now. You'd have to look at a few variables. So hormones, there's still blood tests here where you're at, right? Maybe doing all the other things great, but your testosterone's low because you're feeling a bit lost in society, or you're thinking like, this is all bullshit, what's the point? You'll be apathy, you're not really feeling like you're in your purpose for a bit, you feel a bit off the rails, you know, your testosterone could be a bit off from that. You know, so there's adjustments that to be made. But let's do a blood test, let's look at that. In the meantime, you want to, you know, role play things in your head as well, all right? Like if you walk into a gym, right? Or if you walk into, let's say you're playing tennis, all right? If you walk into a tennis game and you pretend you're freaking Federer or Sampras or Agassi or whoever, you know, or what's that legend's name? The guy who didn't get the experimental shot. I forget his name. I have a mental blank here. You know, if you pretend you're him, all right, or her, or whoever, whatever you're into, you're gonna have a better game of tennis, aren't you? You know, you're gonna have a better game of tennis. Like, if you walk in there thinking that you're, you know, just on point, you're this champion tennis player, you know, you're gonna have a better Novak Djokovic, all right? You go and pretend you're Novak Djokovic, all right? You're gonna fucking have a better game of tennis, mate, right? You're gonna fake it till you make it. So if you pretend that you're Johnny Sins, right? Johnny Sins, the porn star, if you pretend you're him, things are gonna be different down there, right? It's just, you're gonna hit the ball, or you're playing tennis. You won't be Novak, right? Novaks, but you'll be a better tennis player. You'll just, you fake it till you make it. It's you know, if you pretend you're a fighter like Conor McGregor or freaking, you know, whoever from the day, all right? Mike Tyson or whatever. You're going to feel and perform differently. Pretend you're Lance Armstrong on the climb or whatever. You know, it's like, you're going to perform differently, man. Okay, so try that. It could be just psychological. Your libido could just be psychological, right? It could be that as well. And have a break from porn, all right? Porn has its place, but porn is easily overused, and it can create this artificial reality stimulation going on there, so that when you're in real life, things aren't as the same, you know. So I would just have a break from porn, have a holiday from porn. There is some benefits to porn, but it has to be used sparingly and wisely. And I'll do NoFap for a bit, right? Have a bit of a break from that, because if you're learning the self-pleasure, which is a very, very important and powerful tool to be able to do that, but sometimes if you're just self-pleasuring, and your girlfriend, your lady wants some action, you'll be like, I'm already done. My prolactin's already up. I'm good to go. I'm okay, babe, thanks. She's like, okay then. You don't love me. You don't find me attractive. Well, maybe someone else will. So if you have a girlfriend and she has a matching libido, then fapping ain't gonna be good. If you have a girlfriend her libido's not so strong, then fapping can help you be okay with that. If you have a girlfriend whose libido's higher than yours and you're fapping, then it's like that she's going to be smashing Johnny Sins sometime soon. So there's a few factors there to consider. Also stimulants, like cut out your caffeines. They can raise cortisol. For some people, that can really kill the motivation libido-wise. Also many drugs, SSRIs, the psychiatric drugs, the depression stuff, they can cause a real downturn in sexual performance, which can aggravate even more depression, anxiety. So it's like things like that. So you want to really look at the variables there and pinpoint it. Basically, you're going to become a detective and find out what is impeding my sexual performance. But maybe your girlfriend's fine with once or twice a week. Ask her. Maybe make an assumption that she wants it every day, 3 times a day. There's some chicks out there who will just take it as much as you can give it. All right? They're out there. Some girls 2 or 3 times a week's fine. They just want to get off. You know, maybe. So look at ways where you can get her off with your hand or mouth, or Captain Hook. So it just depends on what's going on there. Hopefully, that answers some of your questions. It's not the end of the question. It's not the end of the answer either. Ask me more in the group. So yeah, or it could just be psychological. You could be just be beating yourself up, blah 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 blah. You know, get the Johnny Sins mentality on there, right? You know, find someone you can relate to and just pretend you're that person in that game. Boom, and that can help you just step over that little psychological hurdle where you're telling yourself you're not good enough or whatever. Okay, because the dong, right? For women out there who don't know what it's like, you know, the penile performance. And there's a massive burden on men to perform sexually. Right? As a man, you got to be able to, you know, fuck her like she wants to be fucked. Otherwise, you're like, she's like, you know. So the pressure's definitely on the man, and that's just how it is. Not good or bad, just how it is. So often guys can put too much pressure on themselves. I've been there myself. You know, it's like it can happen. It can happen to the best of us. Even now, it can be a little bit like, oh. Okay. Oh, you want to play a little game, do you, buddy? Okay, this is interesting. Unexpected, but give me 2 minutes and we'll be good to go. Yeah, but definitely. So it's like, it's very, very a mysterious organ. And the gremlins will come in when they want. But, so yeah, I would try doing that. If you've never used Viagra or Cialis, you could try that just to see this powerful psychological effects that they'll have, you know, like even if you don't need them, by using them, it's a psychological trip, and that's why a lot of guys end up addicted to Viagra, addicted to Cialis, and addicted to meaning they have to have it, you know, otherwise I can't get it up, and they don't have heart disease or any issues, they just have this like, so it can be good to try those things to see how powerful the brain can be, but then also on double-edged sword, they can become a crutch where you rely on them all the time. You know, and that's not a good thing as well. Beetroot powder, chickpeas, get a can of chickpeas, eat that, see what happens after that. Things like that. It's let's run some blood tests and go from there. Hopefully, that answers some of the questions. Again, we're scratching the surface here.